Hey everyone, this is Casual Fanatic.
Film reviews without the shoes.
I'm Luca, your casual viewer.
And I'm Cayman, your fanatic. How's your week
So
been?
Cayman, you talked and I talked. What have you been up to?
Bro, there's been so much happening this week. It's absolutely crazy.
Like what?
Well, first of all, I got COVID.
You have COVID. No.
Elena had it last week, and then she was negative, and literally the day after she had a negative test, I was positive.
No freaking way. Oh no, Cayman. Yeah, I can kind of hear it now that you say it.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that sucks.
So that's been kind of rough, but I mean, I'm honestly surprised that it took so long for me to get it because, I mean, we live together, so
Yeah.
kind of hard not to catch it from her.
That's true. Bro, my grandparents have it too in Germany, man.
Yeah.
My grandpa got it. Now my grandma sounds kind of, nose stuffy and sickly. So I'm like, uh-oh, you probably have it too.
The first day felt like strep throat, and then the second day was the worst because my entire body was sore. Like,
Oh my God, I had the same shit the first time I had it.
freaking everything hurt.
That's serious pain, right? Like,
Yeah.
just like aching, like more than aching pain, like actual pain.
And then the third day, my nose would not stop running.
No way.
Yeah, it was just like a faucet. I went through almost a whole box of tissues.
Holy shit. Damn.
And then
That's crazy.
today is my fourth day, and my nose isn't as runny, but I feel like all of the nastiness has moved from my nose back into my throat. I've been coughing a lot today.
Oh no. Okay, so well, if we hear you cough or sniffle, now we know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope you get better soon. Hopefully it doesn't get worse.
But in other
But
news,
it sounds like the hardest part is over.
yeah, the worst part's definitely over. And the CDC says symptoms usually only last 5 days. So tomorrow should be my last day. I'm going to take another test tomorrow night, and then we'll see where things go from there.
Yeah, did you have to cancel any plans because of it?
Well, I was going to go to the movies on Thursday or Friday. I had weekend movie plans, but luckily I usually order my tickets through Fandango, and the app allows you to like exchange the tickets for a different showtime. So
Nice.
I moved it to Tuesday because I think I should be better by then.
Okay. Dang, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's not even
what
all
do you
of
do
it.
now? Oh, wait, there's more. There's more.
I got access to a new program for my AI art. And so that's exciting because it's like,
How'd you get access?
what?
How'd you get access?
I applied for access and luckily was invited.
Oh, nice. Let's go.
Yeah.
Have you been playing around with it?
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
And
And if you guys haven't seen his art that he does, go check out our Instagram and you should see it there.
another thing, so last week we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
and between then and now, I downloaded and played There Is a Guardians of the Galaxy video game, and I just finished it earlier today.
Damn, you finished it already?
Yeah.
Is it a short run or is it like you're just grinding it?
It's a pretty lengthy game. Here, I can tell you exactly how long I played it, actually.
Is it on Steam?
Yeah, it took me 34 hours.
Bro, you put 34 hours into a game recently?
Over a whole week. It's not that much.
Dude, that's a lot.
I'm sure a lot
What
of
the fuck?
I'm sure a lot of that was like pause time, because there were days when I'd be playing it and then I would pause it and go eat dinner and then come back and play more.
Damn, you grinded the shit out of that. Okay. How was it?
I loved it. That's why I played it so much.
It was that good.
It was real good.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Well,
And then one last thing that happened is today, one of the trees in our yard just straight up fell over.
just randomly?
Yep.
What?
Here, I'll send you a picture of it. It's literally insane. It just collapsed. Like, I have no idea what happened.
Is it like too dry out there or what?
I don't know.
Weird. But also kind of cool, but weird.
Yeah, I sent the photo to you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that thing just kind of fell over, huh?
Yep.
I mean, the stump. It looks like there's some black shit in there. No.
I don't know. I didn't look too closely at it, but it's part of like a twin tree. Like the trunk is connected at the very very bottom, but there's like two entirely different trees growing out of it,
Right.
and so it
Yeah.
like split off from the other tree.
Oh man, was anything hurt in the process of it falling, or?
No, I checked all the chickens are fine. So,
Oh, good.
and luckily it was even crazier because we have a hammock and some like porch lights attached to that tree, and luckily the part that fell first of all did not like mess any of those up because that wasn't the tree that they were attached to, and also fell away from anything dangerous, like it didn't like fall on our porch or on the chicken coop or like the fence or something.
Oh wow,
So-
yeah, that's super lucky.
Yeah, we got incredibly lucky with that.
That's awesome. Well, not really, but like that it fell in the right direction is awesome.
So it's been a wild week.
Wow, yeah, that is a hell of a week.
How's your
Um,
week been?
I can't say mine was that. I mean that crazy. Let's see here. I I started playing soccer with a buddy of mine, and I decided to buy all like the balls that you need in life, which is
Okay.
a volleyball, a basketball, a soccer ball, and a football.
Okay.
All those things. Yeah, and so we went, and like sometimes he comes here to Denver, and sometimes we go down to Golden. And this time we were in Golden, and like we got tired, and after that I was like, hey, like dude, you want to see me like fly my plane? He was like, yeah. So I like threw my plane up, flying around, and then all of a sudden my plane lost signal. It's called a brownout, and it just flew away from me and crashed.
Did you find it?
So yeah, we walked down there, we found it. Luckily my
Oh, that's your
wings
second
are
plane
still
crash.
intact. Yeah. So the first one was error due to like one of my buddies blocking my view.
Yeah.
And this one was, like I said, a brownout, and there's nothing you can do about it because either there are two parts in the plane that draw voltage from the battery.
Yeah.
And if either of those two draw too much voltage, it basically like it just it doesn't receive signal anymore after that. It's basically like its own EMP. And it full speed went straight into the ground. And I already bought a new fuselage, and so that's my next project.
Why is that a brownout and not a blackout?
So a blackout is when it loses power completely,
Isn't that what you said?
where it would just be soaring. No.
Oh, it didn't
Mine
lose power,
had
it just lost connection.
Lost connection, and it full speed went straight into the ground. And it fucked up. Luckily, it didn't fuck up my wings. If it would have fucked up my wings, I would be very, very sad because you can't get these wings anymore. But I also needed to buy a new motor this time. Luckily, the guy that I previously bought the glider from, he was at the airfield today, which is where I was flying my other glider with a buddy of mine here. And they were like, bro, like we have an extra ESC, which is like a part of the plane.
Yeah.
And so they luckily I got that for free, but everything else was kind of coming out of my paycheck. Besides that, today I started cleaning again, because on Wednesday, I'm taking PTO Wednesday to Friday,
Okay.
because Vincent, Jimmy, and Alejandro, they're all flying in from all over
Dope.
to hang out for a few days. Yeah. And so that's really it. Let me think. I don't think there was anything else. Oh no, actually false, dude. So, July 4th, no, was it July 4th? It was the night of July 4th. Yeah. Or the morning into July 4th. Yes, that's what it was. And we went for like a birthday party out to, like a few gay clubs because the people I was hanging out with, they're all LGBT plus, you know?
Yeah.
And we went to this gay club, and like the day ended and we were leaving, and then all of a sudden like this fight broke out between these two dudes, and like they like barrel rolled into the street, and cars were like honking at them, and they were going at it, right?
Okay.
And I was like waiting for someone to help these guys or like pull them apart. Like friends would come in and jump in and like pull them off each other, but nothing ever happened. So me being me, I was like, well, fuck it. Like I got to go help these two dudes out before like, they seriously injure each other. And so I go out there, bro, and I grab both of their wrists, and like using like all my adrenaline / muscles / legs, I pulled these two giant dudes off of each other. They're giant in like body weight, not like height.
Yeah.
And right when I did that, someone else came from the crowd and he was like, yo, thanks for breaking it up. And he like took one of the guys, and the guy that I was holding, he kind of got like the worst end of it. His face was like all bloody. He had a bloody nose. There was like a giant gash above his eye.
Yeah.
And I look at this guy and he like wanted to keep fighting. And I look at him, I said, you've had your time. It's enough. And he stopped like right away. He could see that I was not fucking around. And he just like walked off. And I told him, I was like, dude, your face is bloody as hell. You need to go clean it up.
Bro, that's crazy.
And luckily, yeah, fucking insane. And luckily I did that because like literally right when they left into the crowd and like things kind of normalized again, cops showed up. And so I don't know what happened after that, but yeah. Oh, dude. Okay. And I have a question for you. I asked another one of my buddies this question. So when I was leaving, this girl was like, she was standing like in a group of people, and she like when I was walking to my car alone, she was like, hey, like that was kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, thanks. And like I like smiled and like kept walking. She goes, oh my God, you're like beautiful. And I look at her, I'm like, like I smile, and she goes, do you want to make out? And I look at her and I just smile and laugh and I keep walking. Dude, and people are like, oh, you're missing a chance, you're missing out. I'm like, dude, why would I stop and just make out with a random person?
Yeah,
that just doesn't seem like something I would want to do.
Definitely multiple levels of irresponsible. Exactly.
And everyone was like, dude, you should have done it, you should have. I'm like, no, why would I do that? One, it's not my personality. Two, I don't want to. And three, also, that's just like, weird. She could have diseases and shit.
She could have some weird mouth disease. You don't know her. Plus,
exactly, bro.
You said you were like out by bars, so there's a good chance she was like way too drunk.
Okay, so that is true, but I mean, I judged off of what I saw there, and she wasn't gone.
Okay.
I mean, you could tell she was, in a good state of mind, but I even then, like girls at bars, I just usually don't talk to.
Yeah.
Because one, they hate guys that do that, apparently, as I've heard. So I don't know. But anyway, besides all this crazy bar and fighting and COVID shit, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are going to be talking about the 2015 movie, Avengers Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
It was directed and written by Joss Whedon, and it stars all of the Avengers.
Literally all of them. Yep.
Estimated budget of $250 million.
Wow.
And off of that, it ended up making $1.4 billion.
No way. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a big ass number. I would not have expected that. Maybe $1 billion again, but 1.4?
Like over 5 times the amount?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's a very good comeback with the budget they've set. Jeez.
So what did you think of Age of Ultron?
Man, I think that for me personally, it was too much going on. I enjoyed the movie. Like, I had fun watching it, but like looking back and after I finished it, like it wasn't anything too exciting, quite honestly. Maybe it just like wasn't my style of movie, but I feel like there was just like too much going on. And granted, that could be maybe because they were trying to fit all the Avengers in there and do that, but like I just don't think the plot was very good, quite honestly. Okay. Yeah. What about you?
I think it's definitely not the worst Marvel movie, but it definitely is in like one of the lower tiers for me. There were some good things in the movie, but overall, I don't know if I would call it a good movie.
Yeah. Like the one we watched before this, I feel like should have been the $1.4 billion one, and this one should have been the 863 or whatever it was $1 million movie.
Is that how much Guardians made?
Yeah, didn't you say it was like in the 800 millions?
Bro, I don't know. You remember these amounts way more than I do.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was somewhere in the 800. Because I guessed $1 billion, and then you were like, "Oh, close." It was like 800 something.
Yeah, it was 770 million, so a little under 800.
Oh, 770. Okay. Yeah, I feel like those numbers should have been switched.
Yeah, I like Guardians of the Galaxy more than this one, but I understand why this one made more money, because until that movie came out, like almost no one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. They're like a very C or D list Marvel characters. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, I got you. Huh. Yeah. Well,
I believe it's time for us to step into the boxing ring.
Let's do it.
Do you want to go first, or should I?
You can go first.
Okay.
I don't know who went first last time.
I'm gonna say the Avengers are back. While they
Oh.
Yep. The Avengers are back. This time while on a mission, or after a mission to destroy what's left of Hydra. The team is attacked, and they face visions that scare them. And after the attack, Tony Stark creates what he hopes will bring world peace, a artificial intelligence known as Ultron.
Okay. I think that the Avengers, having been together to locate Loki's staff, find that due to Tony Stark overstepping his creative boundaries, the Avengers have to once again find the staff and fight I forgot what it was called. The computer, that the robot that has its own brain. I forget what it's called. AI. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
Perfect. You ready for this?
Okay, I am.
When Tony Stark tries to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program, things go awry, and Earth's mightiest heroes are put to the ultimate test as the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. As the villainous Ultron emerges, it is up to the Avengers to stop him from enacting his terrible plans, and soon, uneasy alliances and unexpected action pave the way for an epic and unique global adventure. We both said Tony Stark. Called him out personally.
Yeah.
Neither of us said Earth's mightiest heroes.
Neither of us said Ultron.
I said Ultron.
Did you say Ultron?
I said an artificial intelligence known as Ultron.
Oh, well, there you go. You get the win, I think.
Another close one,
You get it. Yeah,
I feel
not
like
bad.
neither of us have really nailed one yet.
No, not yet. Not really. I think at the very start, one of the first ones, I did relatively good, but it was just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is. All right, well, let's take a quick break. I'm going to go grab a glass of water.
Alrighty.
And then we'll come back and get into it.
Okay, well, what do you want to start with? What's your first note? What do you want to chat about? Good, bad, the evil?
My first note.
That's a bad one.
It is a bad one. My first note is that a lot of the action in the first scene felt very tame, which I know was a problem that I had mentioned in the first Avengers movie as well. But it just nothing really felt dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can see that.
Even when they were I don't know, I guess most of the Avengers, even though they're literal superhumans, kind of just beat people up and knock them out a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess Hawkeye is actually shooting people with arrows, but I never really saw that happen. It was always just him shooting off screen and you assume that people die kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And Black Widow has guns, but she also just punched and kicked a lot of people. But the thing that made me really start paying attention to it was when Iron Man goes into the bunker and he has those little shoulder rockets that lock on and just immediately shoot every single person in the room. Those are the same rocket launchers that were in the first Iron Man movie when he went over to I forget what the country is called because it was a made up country.
Yeah.
But he goes over there and he's rescuing those people from the terrorists, and he the things pop out of his shoulder and shoot all the bad guys, and they're you can tell that he just killed those people.
Right.
But in this one, even though he's using the same rockets, he shoots everyone, and then you can see them writhing around on the ground, and they're making jokes and stuff, and I'm just okay, so what did you do?
Yeah, I didn't really notice that, quite honestly. But now that you mention it, I noticed the tame part, but I didn't notice the part with those rockets being what he was using and stuff like that. Interesting. Yeah. I wonder why they do that though too. Like everyone knows that like to fight people that want to kill you, you're gonna have to hurt and kill them, right? And I think the problem here is that now, because everyone is so tame, everyone is like Captain America. There's nothing special about him anymore.
Well, and
You
it's
know?
because even like Captain America killed people in the first Captain America movie. He was like running around with a gun and a shield. And so it's not even like that was
Yeah,
necessarily
but
his thing. But I understand why, especially with the Avengers movies, they wanted to be a little more family friendly because these are superheroes and like they're literal like children look up to these characters and you don't want to be like, yeah, they're out here murdering people.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But at the same time, like every kid knows that to fight evil, you should kill the evil people. I knew that as a kid.
Well, you had a very different childhood than a lot of other children.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Okay, interesting. So during that opening scene where what's the guy called with the bow and arrow? Hawkeye. When Hawkeye was shot, he was like shot in the shoulder. And like he had like this big old open wound from that tank.
Was that the shoulder? I thought it got.
I don't know if that was the opening scene. Maybe it was a side. But like one of my notes was like with all like this fancy tech they have and you know all these gadgets, all that they had with them there was like literally a regular like white bandage.
Yeah.
And I was like, they don't have anything better to heal an open wound, like any technology, like at least like covers it and keeps it like, you know, clean, you know? And then like one of the next things that we saw relating to that injury was this high tech, super crazy high tech cool thing where it was like making his cells for him. Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Why? Like,
because
you didn't like
I like that part, but like in the field, I still think 100% they should have had like more tech, like something better.
I don't know. I guess it would make sense, but I just can't imagine what something better would be. Like they can't drag that huge
like for
regeneration thing out there.
Well, no, but like you know how like you know those wristbands that you can like slap and like they curl around someone's wrist.
Yeah.
Right, like a bandage that does that, like that curls around his wound or like forms to the wound and like keeps it clean and like washes it out and stuff like that. Like she just pulled out a regular napkin and put it on there and was like, "Oh my god, he's hit. We gotta help him."
I mean, they did immediately.
I don't know.
Evacuate him. So
yeah, but
I could imagine that
it just
had
upset me.
more medical supplies on the Quinjet, perhaps. And so, like, well, they're actively attacking people. They might not have that sort of stuff, but all they have to do is get back to the ship, and then they can like.
But I mean, if you're fighting crazy enemies that will shoot at you, you should have something better, like at least a tourniquet than this little napkin she put on him. I mean, he got hit by a tank for crying out loud. Like,
yeah, but it was an energy blast. It wasn't like a shell.
True. I mean, I don't know how that affects you. I guess, you know. Let's see here. I also, my second note was regarding Tony Stark, and where it was like, and for gosh sake, watch your language.
Yeah.
I like that like little humor that he put in there with like them cursing, and then like throughout the whole movie it was like that.
Yeah, like keeps happening throughout the movie. They like make fun of Captain America.
Yeah. Which I enjoyed. It was funny.
Yeah. I did like the idea of the Iron Legion, which is like those the robots that Tony Stark had that like while they were fighting all the bad guys, it like they flew into the town and they were like helping people evacuate. And they were like, "Hey, stay away from here. It's dangerous." And like I didn't really understand why like everyone in the city was like throwing shit at them. I don't know. I felt like that wasn't made very clear, like why people are upset with the Avengers.
Yeah. Let's see here. The two altered humans, one having super speed and the other one having what I thought at the start, well, what was mind control is what I'm guessing her power is. But what I thought was interesting that when she mind controlled them and put something in their head, like let's say Captain America or Thor, or let's say Captain America, his scenes were him at like some ball and his old girlfriend, his past girlfriend was there.
Peggy.
Right? Yes. And what I don't understand about that is that while they are in that state, walking around and whatever they're being shown is they're still able to walk in real time without hitting walls and shit, which confused me.
Are they? Because when
Yeah,
Thor had his
because-
vision, he like fell over and he was just laying on the ground.
Yeah, but remember when someone, I don't know, remember who it was like in need, and it was Captain America. No, it was Iron Man that needed help. And
Yeah.
they were like, oh, like you're on your own. Like they're all, mind controlled, and you could see it in their eyes, and they're like kind of like ghostly walking around the corridors. And then it like went to their visions a few times. And I was like, well, I mean, how does that work?
Because I remember
don't know.
it showed Black Widow was like sitting up against a wall. She wasn't moving around. And then, because I remember Tony Stark asking for help, and Hawkeye was like, yeah, they're out of commission. But he was like carrying one of them. Like they weren't walking on their own. He was like trying to get them
when he
out of
said
there.
that, it went to the other views of the other few, and they were all like, red-eyed and being taken, like whatever. And then also, I mean, she also did that to the Hulk, right? And he had like this vision in his head, and he was smashing everything. And I honestly wonder, like, they never showed what she put in Hulk's mind, which I think is funny. Like the whole time she only did mind control these people, where she could have just like snapped her fingers and killed them.
Yeah, I suppose. I think the goal
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily to kill them, but just to destroy them on a more like public scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
that's
she
why
definitely succeeded
that's
at
why
that.
she went for the Hulk, is so that he would go crazy and smash up the city, so that everyone like
Yeah.
turns against the Avengers.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the Hulk scene?
I thought it was kind of cool. I loved the giant Iron Man.
Yeah.
I thought, him having that out in space, and this thing having like its own little spaceship, like to replace parts while he may be fighting, is like such a good idea.
Yeah.
Like great idea. And I think that whole scene really showed off the Hulk's strength.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I liked it. And like, again, Tony Stark showing his low-key humor, where he was still fighting the Hulk, and he was like, oh shit, like how fast can I buy this building? Like, and then I guess he may have bought it and destroyed it completely. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
I did really like the Hulkbuster suit, but this was another action scene where I just like, maybe I'm just like, and maybe I'm a bad person for wanting this, but I wish that people got hurt. I feel like no one got hurt during that entire rampage. It was just like property destruction.
I don't know, man. I think that people definitely did get hurt. They just didn't want to show it again, which I think is a mistake on their part. Like,
But that's what I'm saying.
people
Like,
died.
Right. I mean, obviously, if you're like smashing up entire buildings, there are probably people in those buildings. But
Yeah.
they just like, I feel like they really wanted to sell the idea of like, oh, the Hulk is a monster, and like there's a reason why Banner doesn't really like turning into the Hulk, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, because I feel like in the first Avengers, he was just like, oh yeah, I can totally like control it now and whatever, I'll turn into the Hulk. And in this one, he's like really trying to hold him back unless he's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's hard to get monster vibes when he's not doing anything super monstrous.
I agreed. Yeah, like in our eyes, he was like doing the right thing, or he was out of control or something like that, right? And then in his eyes, he was just like, I guess like from his perspective, he woke up from that spell the mind whatever person put on him, and then he like woke up, and then he saw all the destruction and the people like looking at him in disbelief and like anger and hate, and that's all he sees, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. He definitely, I feel like they need to put more.
And like,
they
I'm
can
not
do so much more.
I'm not saying
with,
they need to like show him like smashing someone into the ground or anything like that, but I don't know. I feel like there are ways to show that he is hurting people without it being graphic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the one part where the Hulk was like pinned to the ground, and like the Iron Man suit was like punching his face in multiple times, right?
Yeah.
Like that was probably the most violent thing we saw in the whole movie, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Cause most of the rest of the action is against robots, and so they're like,
Yeah, like
it's
no one
very
cares.
easy for them to
Like,
show like, oh yeah, we're just gonna rip these things apart and shoot them in the head, and it doesn't matter because they're machines.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I feel like they're trying to walk the fine line where if you want like a good movie, you have to here and there put more like reality into it. And a big part of their job, sadly enough, people will get hurt. That's just how it is.
Like I said, I understand because these movies are more family friendly than like Winter Soldier or like another movie like that. Like I feel like the solo movies have a lot more leeway, but the like proper The Avengers movies tend to be a little more like kid focused.
I mean,
that same reasoning behind like I remember in the first Avengers, I was talking about how all of a sudden everyone's uniforms were like super colorful. Like,
yep.
I feel like these movies are a lot more family focused than some of the other ones.
Should they be though? Should they be, or do you think they like it would be a better movie if they weren't like that?
Depends how you define better. It might be like from a critic standpoint better, but I mean, obviously the ultimate goal is to make a bunch of money, and people make more money if they can bring their kids to the theater.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That same scene where he like busted with the Hulk through the building, and the Hulk woke up, and finally he like looked around and saw the destruction and the people.
Sorry.
What I don't understand is like what they showed there was the Hulk showing kind of like remorse and seeing that he caused destruction. But then the next scene that they showed, or like the same scene, he got angry again, right? And then it took one punch from the iron suit to put him out cold, which I think is kind of funny because like they're putting each other through buildings, through a whole like high rise, and then like finally one punch does it. And I was like, okay, well, that's very typical to end that whole scene. Just like he sees destruction, he like gets angry again, and then one punch takes him out, you know? I don't know how I felt about that scene ending. It was kind of weird.
I think it was just like he was already like really close to passing out, and he was just like hanging on, and the last punches, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back kind of a thing.
Yeah,
like he literally got shoved through an entire building, and so he was like pretty weakened, and then the last punch is what finally put him out,
right? But now why show him like understanding kind of that he caused destruction, and then the next thing that he does is get angry again?
I think Hulk was trying to stay in control, and so like obviously like we were talking about a second ago, he was already kind of weak from being shoved through the building, and then seeing all of the people run away from him was like enough of an emotional shock that it was like starting to bring Banner out. And so Hulk was like trying to hold on and still be Hulk, and so that's why he like yelled, because he was like, no, I want to be angry and smash things. And then the last punch from Iron Man finished the job.
I see. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Well, that clears that up for me. Thank you.
Speaking of Banner, I know I usually really like watching the interaction between him and Stark, but I gotta say, I feel like the Science Boys were not as impressive this time. They had another one of those like montages where you see them like in the lab, and there's like all the screens and they're running around and all that stuff. It was kind of boring this time around. I feel like the one in the Avengers is better.
I agree. Yeah, it was very bland.
Yeah.
There was like nothing was being done. They were just like, there was no humor as well in it. It was just kind of stale. They showed it because they had to show them working kind of thing.
There was like, what was it? Because they were trying to study Loki's scepter, and at one point Tony Stark pulls up like a visualization of his Jarvis AI.
Yeah.
And then right next to it, he pulls up a visualization of like some sort of weird consciousness that is inside the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that just like didn't really make sense to me. Like when he pulled it up, Banner was like, oh my gosh, this looks incredible. But I'm like, that's because it's like someone had to design like that. That's how visualizations work. Like the actual consciousness in the Soul Stone, and Jarvis is like, that's just code. So any visual representation of it is like, that doesn't really tell you anything about it unless someone specifically made it look that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that would be like me like drawing a circle and then drawing like an even bigger circle, and you're like, whoa, it's that complicated? And you're like, well, yeah, because I drew the circle bigger to show that.
Right.
But the way that Banner was looking at it made it sound like, I don't know, they felt like they treated it like they were looking at raw data, and I don't know, it threw me off a little bit.
I mean, it was like what, the stone of like intelligence or some shit.
It's the Soul Stone. Although personally, I think it should have been the Mind Stone, but whatever.
The Mind Stone, yeah, I agree with that.
When it was in Loki's scepter,
it
was being used to mind control people. So I think it would make more sense for it to be. And plus, it literally is like ends up inside the head of Vision. So yeah. I don't know why it's the Soul Stone and not the Mind Stone, but oh well.
It is what it is. We got to run with it.
But on that note, frickin' Vision is just, I absolutely love every second that he is in this movie.
I was about to say the same thing. That was my next note. And the way that he was born, and like the way he came out and presented himself at first, and then like re-presented himself because he was like turned around, kind of confused and all that stuff.
Yeah, he like,
I think they played that so well.
Like they sort of like, they're not sure if he's hostile or not, and so I think, what is it, like Thor charges at him and he just like flies past Thor, and then like someone like hits him and he flies out towards the window, and then he like stops and looks out over the city, and then he sees his reflection in the window. It's a beautiful moment. Yeah.
He doesn't like even care like what anyone else is thinking. It's awesome.
And then when he flies back down to the ground, he looks over at Thor and then makes himself a cape.
Yes. He copycats him. Yeah. I also liked like how he carried himself, like very calm and level-headed, and he like you could tell that he cared a lot about what others' thoughts, like what other people's thought patterns were, and like his facial expressions showed that. And I think that the actor was doing his job phenomenally.
Yeah, Paul Bettany.
Good job, Paul. We're a first name basis, not a big deal.
But yeah, I think he brought the perfect level of like focused, like obviously because the consciousness sort of came from Jarvis a little bit, and so he brought that sort of like calculated nature, but then there was more emotion. Like it wasn't as computery and robotic as Jarvis when he was just Jarvis.
Yeah.
But then there was also like an element of like naivete, because he like didn't really fully understand the world, and so he just like it felt like he was looking at everything with very innocent eyes. Yeah.
And he said that at one point too. He was like, well, I'm only a few hours old, so give me some time.
He said I was born yesterday.
I was born yesterday. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I think his character was good. I also think that the way he fought was very well done. Mm-hmm. One thing that I feel like whenever he used like the headstone beam, that should have been more powerful, because like apparently it's the strongest out of all the Infinity Stones.
I don't necessarily know if it's the strongest.
That's what they said in the movie, no? Right?
No. Vibranium is the strongest metal in the world, and that I think that's why it didn't seem so strong, because Ultron, like his main body was made out of vibranium, which is the same material as Captain America's shield.
Right.
To take it back to earlier, since we had just talked about Vision's birth, I wanted to take a second on, I guess, Ultron's birth. Because he interrupts the party or whatever, and he's like, you see that whole scene where he is like inside talking to Jarvis, and there's like these weird blocks, and he's like searching through the internet and stuff. That was kind of weird. But one thing I did really like about, I guess, the party scene in particular was the hammer challenge.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
I thought that was hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah, and they brought that up twice in the movie, basically. When they were doing that challenge, Captain America basically picked up the hammer a bit.
Yeah, like it shifted.
And it shifted, yeah. And you could see like the almost confusion / like, I don't know what facial expression Thor had, but it was definitely
just like shock.
maybe shock, yeah, that he had moved that, because only like the purest of the pure slash the chosen ones can move it, like even a little bit, and he did.
Yeah, I think,
and I was like, okay, well,
there is a lot of debate about that specific moment. On, like, there's some people who say that Cap is like really, really close to being worthy, and so that's why he could like nudge it a little bit, but he wasn't fully worthy, so he couldn't actually lift it. And then there are other people who claim that he is worthy, but the second he noticed that he would be able to pick it up, he stopped and like faked it because he didn't want to hurt Thor's feelings.
I don't think it's the second one. I don't know. The first one is also kind of cringe because the hammer doesn't work like that. It's not like, oh, you're kind of worthy, well, let me move, let you move me a little bit. It's either you can or you can't. It was never explained that there's a level in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe if you're like 99% worthy.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't think it works like that. I feel like it would. I think it teeters kind of to the place where Captain America is always like he doubts himself a lot, whether you know it or not. And that's like his struggle on the inside. And I think that's the reason why he couldn't lift it up properly, is because he didn't fully believe in himself that he could.
I don't think it's a belief thing. It's just whether you're worthy or not.
I don't know.
'Cause I don't think that's how the hammer works.
Well, yeah, but I feel like you still have to put like some type of like, I don't know. In my mind, belief and thinking that you can do something and then doing it goes a long way. And I think that if you would have just like tried harder, he could have picked it up.
Okay.
Easy. I don't know. I mean, there's a reason that he moved it a bit, right?
It was obviously not just there to be like a funny scene, but also sets up the fact later that after Vision is born, because they're uncertain of like, is this just going to be another Ultron? Like, what are we facing here? And
yeah,
the Avengers are talking, and they're like, I don't think there's, or I think Vision says it. He's like, I don't know if there's any way, and I don't know if there's anything I can do to make you guys trust me, but we've got a job to do. And he immediately picks up Thor's hammer and hands it to him, and they all just like, dumbfounded.
Everyone's like, oh fuck. Yeah, that was like the second scene where they basically, like, the same people were in the room. It was like the same kind of, you know, I mean, it was obviously the same space.
Yeah.
And then they like that happened. And I also mean, like, and the part that I loved was that he didn't even make it a big deal. He just like picked it up and gave it to him and walked away.
Because he didn't know that there was
dude,
like this whole thing about the hammer. He just thought it was
something
a normal
special.
weapon.
Yeah. And then like they, at the very end of the movie, they were like talking about the balancing of it. And he was like, yeah, it's like not as heavy as I thought it would be. I feel like should be hevier. And then Thor was like, well, you know, that would like throw the balance off, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, they're talking about holding this thing. And
have another debate at the end about like, well, he's technically a machine. So does that really count as being worthy? Like if you put the hammer in an elevator, it would still go up.
True. They did say that. And then they're like, well, the elevator's not worthy. So... but is he really a machine at that point? I don't know if he is.
I don't know. He's like somewhere in between, because the machine that was used to create him, remember, had like it was the same. Well, like, not the same machine, but it was the same sort of machine that they used to heal Hawkeye, and so it like creates actual tissue. But then Ultron made them alter it so that it like injected vibranium in there. And then there was this whole thing where they were talking about like the vibranium molecules were like engulfing the cells. So they're like actual living tissue, but also covered in vibranium.
Yeah.
So I guess technically it's like, it's a real body, but
that's what I'm saying. It's just infused.
Right.
So I don't know.
So yeah, I think Vision counts as being alive.
I would agree with that. I would agree. He was just born, you know?
Yeah. One thing I did not like about the party thing is when Ultron does wake up and like starts attacking them with all of the other robots and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh yeah, there was one scene where they're like running around and Bruce Banner like tries to hop over the bar, And when he falls down, he face plants into Natasha's breasts.
Yeah.
And I just hate jokes like that. I feel like it's so immature. Like, it's like, that's the kind of thing that like a 12-year-old would think is funny.
I mean, like we said earlier, the reason they can't show violence is because of that same shit. So they make these stupid, corny jokes.
But the director, Joss Whedon, is... I feel like, first of all, he's like actually a creepo. So
it
doesn't surprise me at all that he's like writing in scenes to sexualize his female stars. But literally, he did the exact same thing in the Justice League movie, because it was originally going to be directed by Zack Snyder, but then he had like a family tragedy, and so Joss Whedon took over and he made like a bunch of rewrites. And then there was one scene that he added where the Flash like falls into Wonder Woman's boobs. It's just like, way to be like super creepy and weird. Like, I don't know, I hated it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of it either. I kind of left my mind right when I saw it.
I feel like it just like bothers me even more because I know that he did it in another movie, and also that he's like a weird Predator guy. But
yeah, not
speaking of, on a different note, is the romance between Natasha and Bruce Banner. I don't know, I just like, I'm not really sure if I bought it.
I feel like this is how I felt. I thought that she was just trying to take control of him, but like doesn't really care for him in that way.
Oh, that's not what
I don't know. Okay, so I didn't ever see any like real anything towards him. I don't know. It was just very bland, and I feel like every time she was there, she was like trying to sway him into liking her.
Yeah, she was like,
I don't know,
because they talked about it at the bar, and then later when they go to the Hawkeye family farm, they have that whole scene where she's like, "Oh, I would have joined you in the shower if I had known." And then they're like talking, and I feel like the reason why it didn't feel fake to me, because when Bruce Banner like kind of rejected her, it seemed like she actually got hurt from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, it just like, I don't know. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't make sense for those characters. Like, nothing up to this point has even almost suggested that they were into each other, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Ooh, I want you so bad." Like, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I also thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Also, right after the whole shower thing, is because one of Banner's reasons that they can't be together is he was like, "I can't have a normal life. I can't have a family like this." And she's like, "Neither can I." And then she tells this whole story about how in the like assassin training that she went through, they sterilized her at the end, and so she can't have kids. And at the very end, she said, "Do you still think you're the only monster?" And I don't know. I felt like if you had been talking about the whole "I murdered a bunch of people" thing, that would be different. But she's comparing herself to the Hulk and calling herself a monster because she can't have children. Like, that's just bullshit. Like,
if you're thinking of it that way, I agree. That's kind of sus and weird and not cool. But I think she was talking about like as a whole, she went through this killing people training, and they also sterilized her, and that makes it easier for her to kill people. I think that's what she was going for. Yeah, but I definitely think it was bad timing for her to say that.
Yeah, I feel like
those lines should have thought about that a little bit more. Weird. Yeah. And then like to draw up on like their emotional buildup, like usually when there's like an emotional buildup in a movie, I like feel for that person, right? And I feel like some like sadness or something like that. Bro, when Hulk like drifted away and she like lost contact with him, I didn't feel anything. And I was like, well, that's when you know that it wasn't done properly.
Yeah, I didn't really like, I guess I felt more for the Hulk than I did for her. She was obviously like upset that he wasn't answering her call, but I didn't feel bad that they lost contact. I felt bad because like you can see when Hulk is just like sitting in the ship flying off into the distance. Like, he's very upset with himself and he's leaving because he thinks that he's too dangerous to stay with them.
Right.
And so I felt bad
this
for
might
him.
be a spoiler, and it's sorry, what?
I just said, so I felt bad for him more than I did for her.
Right. No, yeah, same. And I mean, that's a problem. You're supposed to feel for both of them because it was like, oh, like they're a couple, they love each other, they like each other, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But okay, so question: what happens to the Hulk?
You will find out.
Okay, fine. Okay, let's see here. I liked the subtle touches that Fury had in this movie. It was very subtle, but it worked, in my opinion.
Continue.
I feel like he's always the guy that you never expect to see, and then he's there. What do you think?
What subtleties are you talking about?
Like, all of a sudden, he showed up in the barn. He was there, and he knew about everything.
Okay, so
And
not
then
like subtleties with
second
his
time-
characters, just like
No. Like appearing.
gotcha.
Appearances. Yeah. And then like he appeared again at the very end when they needed him the most with like the one thing that we thought was just fully destroyed, which are those flying aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
Which I thoroughly enjoyed.
I think part of the like reasoning behind that is that Fury had tasked Phil Coulson with like maintaining a couple helicarriers, and so they don't like talk about that in the movie because even like, I don't know, you're the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. person here, but I know they never.
It was so long ago.
I know. They never talk about Phil Coulson being alive in any of the movies. It's a very like weird separate thing where he like exists in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but as far as the movies are concerned, he's like proper dead.
Yeah.
And I think they probably did that on purpose because I don't know if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like canon or not. They haven't really confirmed or denied it. So I don't know. It's weird.
Damn, you need to watch it, honestly.
I think it's still going, isn't it?
Is it?
I remember.
Well, then I haven't seen all of it.
I remember like 2 years ago they had like a storyline with Ghost Rider or something.
What? Okay, I don't know actually. Then I might not have seen all of it if it was still going.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, it was.
But
it was cool that he showed. I remember when they left each other at the farm, they were talking to Fury and they're like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" And he goes, "Something dramatic, I hope." And then he shows up with a helicarrier.
Yeah, and it was exactly what he said because it was like the perfect timing too. Like I had totally forgotten that was his deal. I didn't know that he was going to come back. Like I was never actively thinking about, oh, when is he going to appear?
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like it was always more or less he said it and then I literally just forgot about him because so much other stuff was going on.
Also, another side note talking about their time on the farm. It was freaking super badass when Cap just like ripped a log in half with his bare hands.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh.
Yes. Out of anger too. He was frustrated.
Yeah, because he and Tony were arguing and he just goes like, brah! And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. To make a point. And then Tony goes, "Don't take from my pile." And it was like a smaller pile than his.
It's like 5 logs. So I do have to say, the crush that I have on Maria Hill, but
yes,
my note for this movie was Maria Hill is not a badass bitch. I feel like she just didn't get anything to do in this movie. She was like, they almost treated her like a secretary. Like she was just like walking around telling them stuff.
Yeah. I mean, she was only like there twice in the whole movie, right?
I mean, yeah, I know. She obviously didn't get much screen time.
Like
I was just
she
a
got
little
like
disappointed.
20 seconds.
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, she definitely got more than 20 seconds. She was at the she was there for the hammer scene, and she was there when Ultron was born, and there were a couple other scenes where she was like talking to people. She just like didn't really do anything else besides talk to people.
Yeah, she didn't do anything the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. She was a lame ass bitch.
That's rude.
I agree with that wording that you said. Yeah, I don't know. She just isn't an Avenger, or she's not an Avenger, you know?
I mean, neither is Nick Fury.
True, but he is like, he's like the leader, and she's just the secretary, like you said.
But she's not a secretary.
I mean, Nick Fury is like a leader, and he was being a leader. He was doing his thing. She was, not really doing much at all. I thought the fight scene at the drill with like the whole squad fighting like the shit ton of robots was cool and lame at the same time. I enjoyed it, but at the same time I thought it was kind of lame. I don't know. It was like a cool lame scene because there were like very cool clips in it, and then there were also like super lame parts in it.
Yeah, I felt like it was.
That makes sense.
It was too messy for me. Like the screen was very cramped. Like I think they tried to show like everyone doing something cool, but there was just like everyone was flying around. There was like explosions and laser beams and robots flying all around the room, and it was just like it was too much going on that like you couldn't really focus on one thing happening. So I guess the fact that I couldn't focus makes it a bad scene. It would be my opinion for that.
I'm with you. It was just too much. It was a lot, but yeah, that was. I thought it was cool, but then I was like at the same time kind of lame. It's just how it is. I did like that they got together and just you saw a lot of scenes of the what's his name, the guy with the stone now. Dude, I'm bad with his fucking names. Holy shit, right. Vision. I think them introducing him and like his moves of like how he fights was very cool. Yeah. Of like how he like puts his hands into like their chests and like pulls them apart and does something like that.
Yeah, you can like phase through stuff.
Yeah, I think that's like super dope.
What I didn't think was dope is like I feel like I understood Vision's powers. I guess it doesn't really make sense that he can phase through stuff, but it feels right because he's got a fucking Infinity Stone in his head. So I feel like a lot of the stuff like the flying and the laser beams, that all makes sense to me. What I didn't understand as much is Ultron apparently had like telekinesis or something. Like I remember like during there's a chase scene where they're like in trucks or something, and he like starts pulling parts of the road up to block them. And I'm like, how can you move things with your hands? Like they never explained that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's not magic. He's just a robot.
No,
he's just a really strong robot.
I agree with that. Yeah. And like to take it farther, like the evil robot dude, he Ultron. Took the blasts. Yeah, he took the blasts from Iron Man, from Mind Stone, and from who was the third?
Thor was shooting him with lightning.
With like, dude, that's 3 people against this little fucking metal man. Who, by the way, like just destroyed himself by hitting himself in the back at one point in the movie when he had the woman in his
so that's
grasp
what
at his little lair.
That was when he upgraded himself, because the first version of him was like just normal metals, but his like ultimate version that he had at the end fight was made out of vibranium. So that's why he was able to take, that's what I was saying earlier, how his body is made out of the same stuff as Captain America's shield. So that's why he was able to take all of those laser beams.
Okay, but another part about that, why didn't they just finish him off?
What do you mean?
Like they hurt him, and then somehow he got away and crawled into his ship and then started causing even more havoc and chaos, which then ended up in Speedy getting killed.
That's true.
That annoyed me a lot, and that's one of my questions. Like, is Speedy alive or is he done?
I don't really remember how did Ultron get away? Like when they were fighting him, like what happened?
Dude, I literally think he just walked away.
That can't be it.
Like what else?
Maybe like they got distracted by some of the other robots or something, and then he like flew off really quickly.
I don't know. I honestly don't remember exactly, but I was very upset that they didn't kill him right off the bat.
But yeah, no, Pietro, he definitely is dead.
Okay, he's dead. Damn. And his sister, she was saved by Vision. Vision, yeah.
Yeah, when the city was falling, he swooped in and grabbed her.
Yeah, which I thought was a cool part. And like that kind of gave me hope that her brother might be alive, but never mind.
Nah, he for real dead. He had like 7 bullet holes. He big dead.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, like that again, in field when you are fighting evil people, and you have all this technology, bro.
Okay,
you
but
can't
they don't
come up with an invention that like
They
You know?
can't just have magic technology so no one ever dies, though.
Well, it wouldn't be magic technology. It would just be like something to stop the bleeding of a wound.
Okay, I feel like that would work if he like got shot with a pistol or something, but a literal like machine gun from an attack jet, like I don't think there's any
True.
saving that.
True. Okay, that's fair.
I do have one last note actually about the twins is I guess really more about Wanda. I was going to say I don't like their accents, but Pietro's accent was more convincing to me. He felt more natural with his, I guess it was supposed to be Sokovian, but it was just a Russian accent really.
Yeah, I thought it was just supposed to be Russian.
No, the city that they're in is I think the capital of I don't know. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll have to look it up real quick, but I don't know if the city is called Sokovia or the country is called Sokovia. I'm pretty sure the country is called Sokovia. I don't know what the city is called.
Okay.
But that's
Either
the
way,
country that they're supposed to be
enjoyed them.
from.
Say what? Oh, that's where it's supposed to be from?
Yeah. Apparently the capital of Sokovia is called Novigrad. But yeah, so the country is Sokovia, so it's supposed to be a Sokovian accent, but I guess Sokovia in the Marvel universe is like Eastern Europe, so it would be like closer to Russia. So I guess it makes sense that is their accent, but I don't know that Elizabeth Olsen, who played Wanda, did that good of a job with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. Let's see here. I kind of loved that they used Audi R8s or Audis for like the cars they showed.
Yeah.
To me it was like, buy an Audi now. Audis are cool. Audi R8. Are they like? I'm guessing they're sponsored by Audi. The movie or
I don't. Maybe. I mean, I would imagine so.
I feel like they had to have been.
There's no way they just like for the fun of it chose to use all the same type of car. So it was probably like they had to use some car, and so they just like I don't really know how that works like in the movie making process. If they just like put the word out there and they're like, hey, we need a car, who wants to pay us to have your car in our movie.
I mean, dude, or if the movie was seen by how many people, you know?
Yeah. So I don't know if they're like, if they initiate that or if like car companies are like just keeping their nose out and they're like, ooh, people, there's a new Avengers movie coming out. And they're like, are they contacting Marvel? And they're like, hey, we want to put our car in your movie.
Yeah. So apparently that's like a thing with Marvel is that they fuel profits for Audi. Not quite sure why though.
They probably just have a business partnership, I guess.
Yeah, probably. Like even in Iron Man 3, Downey had an Audi R8.
Yeah, I know.
And then
in one of the future movies, he is driving like a not a demo. What are they called when it's like not released yet?
Yeah. That was the Audi e-tron. Concept car.
It was an electric Audi.
Yeah. So they have something with Audi. Okay, so I don't exactly know where the money goes or how it gets done. But it says here the longevity of product placement is another aspect and usually extends over decades as the first movie debuts in cinemas, then in home entertainment, and finally on TV with multiple reruns. We would never reach such a large audience for such an extended period of time with regular advertising. So I mean, it doesn't answer our questions, but
so they're just saying like instead of putting out a bunch of Audi commercials, they're like, we're just going to put Audis in every Marvel movie and then people will see them.
Yeah, exactly. Because it goes on forever.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and watch this movie, you know, or you're going to binge all the Avengers movies, you'll see Audi everywhere.
Yeah.
That's product placement at its best. The very ending where Big Man with the glove is there and he says, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
That was kind of badass. Not gonna lie.
I guess I don't. There was one thing that I was thinking about when I saw that though, is because last time we saw Thanos, he was like on that weird rock floating out in the middle of space.
Yep.
And then there was like this vault, I guess, that had the gauntlet in it. But I guess I was just like, I was wondering, I was like, where was that? Was he just like keeping it in his closet? Like where is he right now?
True. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. That's a good point. Where was he when that was taken? Like,
I don't know.
It looked fancy.
Yeah, there was like a bright white background behind him, and the little like cabinet, whatever that was holding the gauntlet, was like there was a bunch of little spinning parts, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it looked super cool, but
Yeah.
I just don't know where it is.
No idea. No idea. But nope, that was the last note. That was it.
Yeah. So overall, it's like I said before, not the worst movie, but not the best either.
Yeah. It's a medium film.
Yeah. You ready to get into some trivia?
I am.
All right. Our first fact here is it says James Spader was originally just going to do Ultron's voice, but he told the filmmakers that for a main character, he thought he deserved to do more than provide a voice. And so he took on performing Ultron through motion capture.
Dude, it sounded like Robert Downey Jr.
James Spader.
Oh, I don't know who that is, but it sounds like Robert. I thought it was Jr. the whole time. Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I am mistaken.
According to Mark Ruffalo, his portrayal of the Hulk is inspired by Peter David's Hulk comics, where the Incredible Hulk and Bruce Banner were more like a split personality. He said, "There's a very cool thing happening in the film. Hulk is as afraid of Banner as Banner is afraid of Hulk. Both of these guys are obviously in the same body, and they have to come to peace somehow with each other, and this confrontation is building across this film."
Like, did he win at the very end? Because like Hulk wanted to like just disappear, right? And maybe the human version, Banner didn't want to.
The ship didn't crash.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It landed in the ocean.
I think they just said it was like out in the ocean, but they didn't mean like in the water, just like it's above where the ocean is. Like it's out in the middle.
I thought it was in the water. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Stan Lee cameos as a war veteran, and you know who Stan Lee is, right?
No, who's he?
So he is like one of the main people that like started Marvel Comics.
Oh shit, okay.
And so he has a cameo in all of the movies, but in this one he was the guy who you remember at the party Thor like had this tiny little like flask, and he was like, no, this stuff has been aged for 1,000 years. It is not for the immortals. And then that old guy is like, nah, give it to me. And then immediately super wasted.
Yeah.
That was Stan Lee.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
He wanted to put himself in the movie.
He's in all the movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He has a cameo in every single Marvel movie.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's funny.
You should keep an eye out for him for our future movies.
Okay, yeah, we'll do. Wait, what was he in the other ones?
In the first Iron Man.
What does cameo mean?
What?
Cameo, define?
It means it's like he didn't have an actual part. He was just like in it for a couple seconds to be like, oh, look, it's that guy.
Ah, okay.
So in the first Iron Man, he is at a gala talking to 3 blonde women, and Tony Stark mistakes him for Hugh Hefner.
Huh.
Okay, so the next one we watched then would be Captain America, and Stan Lee in the first Avenger plays a general who mistakes another person for Steve Rogers and says, I thought he'd be taller.
Huh. Yeah, I don't remember these things.
In the first Avengers, he was being interviewed on TV about the Avengers saving New York. And he says, superheroes in New York? Give me a break. And then returns to his game of chess that he was playing.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
In Thor: The Dark World, he appears as another one of the patients in the mental ward where Dr. Selvig was. And because he was trying to explain the convergence, and he was like smashing those 2 shoes together. And when he gets done, one of the guys says, can I have my shoe back? And that was Stan Lee.
Oh, okay.
In The Winter Soldier, he plays the security guard at the Smithsonian who, after Captain America steals his old World War II uniform, one of the security guards comes in and notices, and he says, oh man, I'm so fired. And then he was just briefly in Guardians of the Galaxy. Rocket stared at him when he was like looking with his scanning device.
Wait, what?
In the very beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket and Groot are on Xandar, and he's like scanning around looking at people. And Stan Lee is one of the people that he looks at.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for him. Now that I know.
So in this movie, he cameos as a war veteran, and in real life, he actually did join the army, but he never went into battle. It says,
very cool.
Lee's experience writing comics was instead put to use for the Army's medical division, where he was tasked with thinking up slogans for posters about preventing the spread of venereal disease.
Damn.
And side note is that those posters were drawn by Dr. Seuss.
No way. Oh, that's cool.
So
that's really cool.
One of them drew the posters, and the other one wrote what was going to be on the posters.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
All right, next fact. Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played Pietro Maximoff, was impressed by Hemsworth and said, "The only one who has an otherworldly superhero physique is Hemsworth. The size of his arms is like the size of my thighs. Just to be an actor and transform your body to that level, he is essentially a god. Everyone in the cast is charming and brilliant, but when you look around the room, you go, that guy is definitely a superhero."
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's a presence.
Yeah.
Holy.
I've seen a lot of interviews where like other cast members say the same thing. They're just like, Chris Hemsworth is just like, it's like just amazing looking at him.
Trust me, I've heard. not just co-actors, like
for sure.
Just regular people too.
Yeah. He's a specimen.
They drool over that man. Oh yeah, for sure. He got the lucky genes.
I mean, he also works out like nonstop.
That's also true. Yeah, he's a monster.
Robert Downey Jr. described Ultron's creation as a process of recognizing limitations. He said, "The downside of self-sacrifice is that you make it back and you've been out there on the spit and you've been turned a couple times and you feel burned and traumatized. Tony Stark wants a break from saving the world, having done it at least 9 times now. So his focus is more on how can we make it so that there's no problem to begin with. That, you know, there's like a bouncer at our planet's rope. That's the big idea."
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like Tony Stark is like so smart and intelligent that he should have known when enough was enough. Although it did work out for him in the end, right? To me, it's like it was kind of a stretch to think that there was no good reasoning for him to do it again. I don't know.
Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen actually worked back to back. First, they played husband and wife in Godzilla in 2014, and then in this film in 2015, they play brother and sister.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's actually so lucky.
Yeah. When it is jokingly suggested that Tony might become the king of Asgard, he says that he would be reinstituting prima nocta. Prima nocta is a rumored ancient practice of English kings in which they claimed the right to be the first person to have sex with any of their newlywed subjects.
Oh, interesting. I don't even know what to think about that, honestly. Like, I don't know what to say back. Like, interesting.
We do have, in addition, I found 2 trash facts.
Oh, good.
The first one says, in this movie, Elizabeth Olsen has a twin brother, and in real life, she has 2 older sisters who are twins.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking shit. What does that have to do anything with the movie?
Nothing.
In the movie, she has parents, and in real life, she has parents.
Wow.
Whoa.
Like in the Avengers 2012, Jane Foster did not appear in this movie and is not seen with Thor at the party at the Avengers headquarters. In both movies, she is only mentioned.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, but I forgot to write it down. What's with that?
So I guess that's not a trash fact. That's like you're actually interested in that.
I mean, it kind of came up in my mind because like they mentioned her and that like she knows more than anyone else does regarding Tony Stark's stuff and shit. But then like she was never brought up. Or she was never in the movie. I mean,
I think they gave a reason in the movie why she was like busy with something, but
it was a shit reason though. It was something like, oh, she has like a lot of work to do. It was like that.
Yeah, well,
but
cool. Real life reason is Natalie Portman, who plays Jane Foster, had a bit of a falling out with Marvel after.
Did she?
After The Dark World.
Wait, really? Why? Oh, give me the drama. Was it again one of those things where like she wants to get paid more or something like that?
Let me look it up real quick. Okay, so there are multiple reasons. Apparently, part of why she left was because she had a new baby and she wanted to focus on that. But also,
Ugh,
It
babies.
says here that the Dark World was originally supposed to be directed by Patty Jenkins, which made Natalie Portman very excited. But then Patty Jenkins left due to creative differences, which made Portman, quote, deeply unhappy.
Oh gosh.
And in addition to that, obviously, Thor 2 is regarded as one of the MCU's weakest films, with much of the criticism being aimed at its treatment of Jane. It says many fans felt that her role felt a little too far into damsel in distress territory.
Interesting.
And so the director switched and she wasn't happy about that. And then people didn't like the movie and she was like, well, fuck it, this is going to be bad now. I don't want to be part of it.
I see. Okay. Well, those are good reasons, I would say. It is what it is.
Yeah. That's all
and
I got.
And the baby reason was a good
trivia.
reason to... Oh, yeah. Good trivia. Good trash facts. We like those. We like those a lot.
Yeah. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Tell your friends and family about us. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram @CashFanPod. If you want to send us a message, you can do so on either of those platforms, or you can send an email to casualfanaticpodcast@gmail.com.
Let us know. And again, thanks so much for listening. We really do appreciate you.
All right. Well, this has been Casual Fanatic. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.